Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the resize node of the array. Okay, so again, a new user interface widget blueprint. I'm going to call this resize array, right? And go back here, make sure that it's resize array. There you go. I think in fact it's better if I say array resize because that seems to be the convention. Array resize. Okay, so inside array resize, the same thing. I'm gonna drag a button, center it out, and come on, and make this 120 by 120, 0.5 and 0.5. Okay, and just rename this to btn array resize. Drag an overlay, bring in a text block, drop it here, and call this resize simply. And I'm not worried about what's spilling out or not. I'm just going to change the font color. That's good enough. When I hit play, I hope I see that. There it is. Okay, click on the resize button and then go on clicked. Now let's create a couple of variables again. I'm going to create a string array and I'm going to create an int array. Int array. I won't need an object array now. Of course, this will be a string of okay, and this will be an int, first an array and then an integer. Compile them both. Now for the int array, I'm just gonna have 5 items. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and for the string array, I'm gonna have 5 items again. Alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo. Okay, great. Compile that, save that, and now let's just check. No, first let's resize a string array, and then we'll work with the int array. It works pretty much the same, but I just wanted to show you both, just to show the difference. Same thing again. When I say resize, this is going to be a wildcard node, so I can drag and drop anything I want. So I can drag this. It takes the form of string. I can drag this, and it takes first take it off, and then if I drag this, it takes the form of an integer. Okay, I connect this back here, and this comes in with simply what array do you want to modify and what do you want to do with it. You can either downsize the array or you can upsize the array. So right now it's 0, that's the default value, and this has the size of this array is 5. So let me resize first. I'll resize this to let me say I'll resize this to 3. So I think that delta and echo might go away. Okay, so now let's just say print string. No, not print string. First bring in the string array and get it. Now for each loop. Okay, and now when you start when you're starting off, you have a string array which has 5 elements, and after you resize it down to 3, downsize it to 3, you should only have alpha, beta, and Charlie. Let's see if that's true. So I'll say print string, and I'll just connect that. Okay, and if I hit compile and play, when I hit resize, I'll be having alpha, beta, and Charlie. That's great. So that works. Now, what if I want to, let's say, I'll first increase the duration to 5 seconds so that we have some time to read. Now let's say we want to resize this to 10. From 5, I want to double it down to 10. And when I hit play now, when I hit resize, you can see that it's echo. It's not gonna, it's not gonna actually print anything. But let's see. I'll first, I'll right click and I'll add a breakpoint, and then I'll hit play. Okay, and then I'll see resize, and when I stop that. I'll come down to macros. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of the breakpoint here, I'll just remove the breakpoint and I'll add it inside the print string because it's actually going inside the debug module. So when I hit play now, resize, there you go. So now if I look at the array, it's got all of these empty strings. Okay, it's got alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and all of these empty strings till 9. or that's the 10th element, or that's doubled up by 10. But it's not going to print anything because it does not see anything in here. You are not able to see anything. That's why it did not print anything there, because it's a blank string. So that's how this resize works. And in fact, if I do the same thing for, let's say, I'll just get rid of this, and I'll first bring in an int array. Okay, and this has 0 to 4, and I'll resize this, and then again I'll delete this. I'll bring in an int array, I'll drop it here. Oh, okay, alright. That's because I actually dragged the for each loop. I'd call the for each loop function from the string array. Okay, so now I can do this. I can say for each loop that, and then print string and array element, and that will convert that to a string. There you go. So now let's see what happens. Will it print the 0 or not? I don't know. Let's find out. So when I hit resize, it is actually printing all the zeros. So it's 0 to, okay, I think I'll just increase the amount, the duration amount to 5 seconds. And when I hit play, when I hit resize, now you can see that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's actually doubled up the array and filled up the empty elements with a 0. And you were not able to see anything inside the string array because it actually fills it with an empty string. Okay, and it does not get printed there. That's why you're not able to see it. Otherwise, it's pretty much there. So that's how the resize node works. But again, you have to keep it with caution. This is again a destructive node. You got to ensure that you're not running it inside a loop while you are manipulating that array. So it's always safe to actually copy this array and then resize, or duplicate this array and then resize that array and then make changes to it if that's possible at all. But strict word of caution, do not use these kind of nodes inside a loop. As simple as that, right? Otherwise it can break the loop and you never know what's going to happen. Okay, so that's about the simple resize node, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to look at the shuffle node for the array concept. Okay, I'm going to right click, user interface, widget blueprint. I'm going to say array shuffle. Open that up, close array resize, we don't need it, and make sure that we have array shuffle in there. Compile, save, and again the same thing. Bring in a button, and I'll center this out, 0.5 and 0.5, and this will be 120 by 120. Rename this to btn shuffle. All right. Bring in an overlay, bring in a text, and drop it inside overlay, and just call this shuffle. Right, and change the text color to black. There you go. Simple. Test it out that it's showing up. Yes, it is. Now click on the button and create an on-click event for it. We're gonna need, I'm gonna use a string array. So I'll just call the string array, make it an array first, and then change the type to string. Okay, and then let me have 4 or 5 items. Yeah, 5 items. So you have alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. That's great. So now let's see what the shuffle node does. Okay, so first I'll just bring in the shuffle node, the wildcard one. And of course, this has nothing. All it takes is an array and a wildcard. It's a wildcard node, so it takes in any array and it takes the form of that data type of the array, and it simply executes out. It does nothing more than that. So what it does is it reads into an array and it simply shuffles it in its random fashion. Now we don't know what kind of algorithm it uses, but it simply shuffles it. Okay, so just to show that it shuffles it different every single time. So first I'm going to connect these two, right? And then I'm going to bring the string array, drop it in here, so that takes in the string format. And when this is done, I'm going to bring in the string array again. The first thing is I will okay, I'll first get rid of this and move it away, and I'll first print everything. I'll bring this in here first. Okay, I'll first print it using a for each loop. Okay, and I'll simply say print string. This will be the array element, so no conversion required, and I'll put this in green color, and I'll keep this for 5 seconds. Okay, or I'll just keep this for 3 seconds, and then I'll have a delay for 3 seconds. All right, and then I'll use this to shuffle. Once it's completed, I'll simply shuffle it. Like that. Okay, and I'll print it again, or simply say for each loop. Okay, and print this again, print string, like that. Okay, and let's see what happens. Okay, play, and when I hit shuffle, it's gonna bring echo alpha, beta, Charlie, delta, echo, and then it's gonna shuffle that. Okay, and when I hit shuffle again, it's got that old value, so and then it's gonna shuffle again. All right, so you know what, I'm gonna keep this for about let's say 5 seconds. It disappears too soon. So play, and I shuffle this, and it's in right order: alpha, beta, Charlie, delta, and echo. Okay, and then it shuffles delta, beta, and it shuffles the order, and after 5 seconds it'll go away, and then I again shuffle this, and this is what the old shuffled order is, and then it's shuffled again. Okay, I'll shuffle again, and then that's the new shuffle order, and now this is the new shuffle order. And now this is turned into the old one, so that's turned green. I shuffle again, and now this is turned blue. Okay, and in fact, you know what, I'll change this to red, so that's more noticeable. It's not that blue is bad, but so I'll hit shuffle. That's green, alpha, beta, Charlie, delta, echo, and I wait for, and then it's beta, Charlie, delta, echo, and alpha. So it's kind of shuffled it up. Okay, I'll wait, and then again I'll shuffle, and now this is the new one. It borrowed it from the last one, and then again it waited for 3 seconds, and then there you go. Okay, so what this thing does is simply it shuffles it, and in fact you can also if you want, you can let's see, if you want, we can actually, let's say, I'll get the, I'll disconnect that connection. I'll disconnect these nodes, and we'll write something a little different. So instead we'll say, let's say for loop. Okay, simple for loop, right? And I'll say first index would be 0, and the last index would be, let's say, if you want to run this 10 times. Okay, and inside the loop body, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the string array. And copy that here, and the first thing is I'll shuffle it. Okay, I'll shuffle it. Okay, once that's shuffled, and then I'll simply loop it for each loop. Okay, and this will be execute here, and then simply print string, and this will simply bring in the shuffled elements, and it'll stay there for nearly 3 seconds, and then let's say it'll go for a delay of 3 seconds, and then it'll go on with the next iteration. Let's see what really happens here. I'm not sure. I'm trying this for the first time, and once it's completed, it will just say print string, or before print string, I'll just say delay. I'll just say 2 seconds, and then I'll print string, and I'll call this completed. Okay, and this will be red in color, or maybe green in color. No, red is fine. Okay, and compile that. Let's see what happens. All right, so when I hit shuffle, there you go, it does everything at the same time, and then it says completed. All right, so the problem being, so let's see. So what we can do is, instead of printing that let's do this. I don't think, I'll just move this a little bit far off, and I'll simply say array index. Let's say I'll just bring in a format text like that, and I'll say, I think I will say, anyways, let's try this here. In fact, instead of format text, I just move that away. I'll move this away as well. So every time it shuffles, I want to add, a line sort of. We don't need the delay here. In fact, we will add, first we'll add a print string, okay, and then this will be simply a line like that, and move this away. I think they should be there for, let's say, I don't know, I'll say delay, and I'll just wait for like 0.5 seconds, and that's it. And when this is completed, I think in fact, let's see, after in every for loop it shuffles it brings that forth, and then it comes here, and then it completes. I think it should come back. Let's see what happens. I'll run this first, and let's see. If I hit shuffle, oh, okay, right, shuffle delta, right, completed, okay. That's because it delayed it for a while. So you know what, I'll just get rid of this, and I'll simply point that out there, play that, and shuffle. There you go. Okay, so completed, and then it goes away. So in fact, I'll keep this for a lot longer. I think I'll keep this for like 3 into 5 seconds so that it stays there. And yeah, so let's see. In fact, I'll run it from here, and there you go. So you can see all of these. Okay, that's going away. All right, okay, so it does work. In fact, let me go full screen, immersive mode, and I hit Alt P, and now when I hit shuffle, it does everything. It beta Charlie, and okay, I think I should just increase the period for all of these. I think I'll increase this to 10, and I'll increase this to 10, so all of them stay there for 10 seconds, and this to 10. Let's see, I need to compile this, save this, and play, and of course go F11, and then hit shuffle. There you go. So you got alpha, beta, and it's already done, and it's all well shuffled up, if you can see this. Okay, I'll do it again, and alpha, beta, delta. Okay, so it's all well shuffled up. I'll wait for this to complete, and then I'll hit shuffle again, and I'll go for the complete go away, hit shuffle again, and there you go. So if you can see that all of them have been shuffled really well. So it works. So it works pretty fine. And in fact, you can use array shuffles for, simply picking out some random integer or some random element or some random character. Maybe you have an array of characters and you want, let's say you are working on a game which is sending out swarms of enemies for the player to shoot and kill. But there are different categories of enemies, and you don't want the pattern to be recognizable. You don't want the orcs to go first and the night elves to go second. You don't want the player to understand the pattern. Instead, you want the player to not understand the pattern and make it unpredictable, so that he'll always be on his toe, and that fun factor increases as well. So you can have an array, and then you can shuffle the array every single time, and then you can pull out a random integer. You can pull out a random index from that, and then maybe you can use that index and you can spawn that particular character type. Okay, so that way it will also be less predictable. But it's not always recommended that you go by complete randomness. It's also recommended that you have some sort of pattern where it does not turn too challenging for the player, wherein he cannot absolutely predict the pattern. There has to be some pattern that human beings have to predict, and that's what makes it a lot more fun. If you break that pattern, the monotony, it's not about the monotony, but it's having that fine balance between creating the monotony and having that monotony and having that challenge, and just that fine line. You have to stand there. That is what makes a game fun. Okay, all right, so that's about it, and that's shuffles. Very simple, and we saw that it simply shuffles the elements inside an array, and we saw a little thing how it works it out. Okay, Alright, that's it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So in this small video, we're going to take a look at the last index node. Okay, it's going to be a very short video and a very simple and a very straightforward concept. Right click, I'm going to create a new widget. I'm going to call this array last index. Okay, and open that up, close array shuffle, use this as the one that I want to create and display. And this is simply, I'm not going to bother making any buttons here. So instead, I'm just going to go over to the graph. I'll create a variable and I'll just call this, let's say, yeah, I'll just have a string array again. And this will be a string and of type array, compile that, and then simply have 4 elements. So alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta. Okay, so you have 4 elements, and inside event construct, which is the same as begin play for UMG, I will bring in the string array and I'll first get it, and I'll just show it to you that last index is the same as the other nodes where it takes in a wildcard entry, and it does not have an exec in, and neither does it have an exec out. It just outputs an integer because that's what an index is. It's an integer. So I'm just going to bring that out and plug it in, and that turns into that converts it into a node that can read from string arrays. Okay, and all I'm going to do is simply print string, or I can also format text, and I can say last index is, and I'll have a value there, and I'll simply plug this in to index. Okay, and then I'll simply print string, and print string. I'm gonna bring in this formatted text and connect it there, and this changes the text to a string, and that's about it. And very simple. Now when I hit play, and there it is, it says last index is 3. And if you look at the array, and it indeed has 4 elements, so it makes the last index as 3. Now, all it does is it simply goes for the last valid index. Now, you can have multiple of these, like I'm going to have 3 more. Okay, so now this array element has 8 elements. Okay, when I hit play now, let's see what happens. It says the last index is 7, even though you don't have anything in here, because a null string is still a valid string, or still a valid element for a string array. So that's about it. So if you want to look at the last valid index, then it looks for that, and then it simply gives that to you, and that's it. There are multiple uses for this. Maybe you'll probably find a use for this node in your game, not sure, but this is how a last index works, and that's about it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the length node. So I'm not going to go ahead and create a new UMG blueprint for that. So instead, I'm going to use the same one. So let's say we have the last index here. Okay. So what I'll do is let me see. I'll just move this down here. That's from the last video. I'm going to use the string array, copy that, and let's see. I have all of these items, and I'll go on and create more, and I'll just not create more but add some in them. So alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, and Hotel. There you go. So now we have 8 elements. So all the way from alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, and Hotel. Great. So let's see. Now let's take the length. Okay, so length again is a standalone node. It does not have any inputs or outputs. I mean, no exec in and exec out. It just takes an input and it yields an output, which is an integer, of course, like the last index. But there's a difference, and there's a possible scenario that I'll specify here, and you'll understand why sometimes length is better and sometimes last index is better. So let's say in this case, I say print string. Okay, and let's say when I say length, let's first get the length in. Okay, I'm going to get the length in, and in fact, better than that is I'll format the text, because that's better, at least looks better. Format text, and I'll say length equal to, not this, curly braces, length. Okay, and I just want this to come here. like that, and this will go in here after it converts itself, right? So if I just hit compile now, and there you can see that it says length equals 8. I'll just keep this for a little longer, let's say 5 seconds, and I'll keep this as green color. Okay, and once that's done, so let's say once that's length, let me see if I can right click on this, I can right click and I can say promote to the variable, and I can say array length. Okay, so once that's done, okay, where did it go? There it is. All right, I'll first connect this because it's setting up the array length, and now this. Okay, so now that we have this, let's see if we can get that particular length, and we can pass into that array and get that element inside that array, because when you hit play now, it says length equals 8. Okay, so let's say if I can bring in the string array, and let's say there is this function called get a ref, not a ref, but get a copy. That's okay. We will talk about this a little later, but just understand this is why we need to use, sometimes we need to use last index, and sometimes we need to use array length. So which index do I want to get? I'll just say I want to get the array index, array length. That's whatever the value is coming out from array length, and I'll just say print string. Okay, and what do I want to do? I want to format text again, and I'll say element at index is element. Okay, so I'll say get would come here. No, sorry, let's say index would be this. Okay, and the element would be this is a string. Okay, may only be byte. Okay, so let's, I don't know, okay, so since it will not take anything other than these, other than byte, integer, float, text, or e-text, gender, so thankfully we have text. So I'll just do that out here, and I'll first connect these two, move this away so that I can make some room, and I'll say to text, or to text, that would be to text string. Okay, and now if I can connect these two, there you go. So now if I do that, let's see what happens. Compile that, and when I hit play and it says element at 8 is nothing and length equals, again, I have to keep this for 5 seconds, and this will be red in color so that we can differentiate it easily. Compile and save. So now length is 8 and the element at 8 is nothing. Okay, so that's why it did not crash it, but it's also not giving you anything at all. So if you have to get that particular element at the last, the length is not a good node. So if you want to get any element at that length, because length always gets you the number of elements in the array, but not the correct index. So this has 8 elements. It says 8 here. If you look at the string array, it says 8 array elements. So number is 8. But if you look at the index, the last index here is 7. So the last index is always length minus 1. So if you want this, you always have to say, if you want to get the right element, then you'll have to do minus 1. So this is how we do it, and say, let's see, minus, I'll just say decrement. No, not decrement. I cannot create to convert. I cannot pure cast this. So I'll just, instead of that, I'll just say minus integer minus 1, and then connect this like that. And this can be element at index. This can also have the same thing. Like that. Okay, so this should work. There you go. So length equals 8 and element at 7 is hotel. Okay, or it's the same thing as the last index. So that's about the length. I just wanted to show you this, the difference between length and last index. So if you want to get the element at the last one, then you can either use the last index or you can use the length minus 1 like I did here. But you already have a node, so you can use this for convenience, or you can also use this if you want to use this. Okay, so that's about it, and that's about the length node, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn how to use the find node for the array. So I'm going to create a new blueprint now. I'll call this array find. Okay, so find elements inside the array. Of course, I have to change this to array find like that. Compile that, save that, and come here. And this time I'm going to use a button, drop it down in the middle, center it, and zero them out. 0, 0, 120 and 120. 0.5 and 0.5, and again I'll just call this btn find. Okay, and instead yes, I think let's try adding a text box, and let's see, and I'll just anchor this to the mid center, and I think increase the size of the text box. I'll just say 150. Okay, like that. That's fine. So 0.5 and 0.5. I think I'll increase this further by 500. Okay, I just enter something here, and if I say, I'll just hit play, and if I start entering something, so I think the text size, yep. So let's see, on text changed, on text committed. Okay, so first let's see if this even works. So in fact, I want to get the text, hint text, and if I say style, font, I'll just say font would be 15. Let's see, 15. All right, I think that's readable. Okay, and that's readable. I think 20. Great. Okay, so we'll stick to this. Okay, and let's just add a simple label and out here, and this will also be there, and I'm fine with the height, and I'll just change this to say read text element to find. Okay, and of course I'll just say size to content, and I'll just bring it down like that. That's good. Let's just hit play. I'm fine with that. I just need to change this name. That's okay. Editable text box can be text box, input text box. I'll just add this input text box, and I don't need to label this. I just need a overlay on this, on the button, and inside the button I need a text block, and this text block will read find, and this will be black in color. That's good enough. Let's see, everything is good. Great. So I can just type something, I can just hit enter and find. That's good. All right, so I just need to click on this, and I'll just see if on commit works. Okay, on text committed, and I'll just say print string, what's the text. All right, and let's see if I hit compile. Okay, and if I say something, hit enter, and I'm getting that. Why am I getting it twice? I don't know. And let's see, e text commit, switch on, let's say, okay, that's default on enter. Okay, let's see, so this would be that, and on enter print string. Okay, and now let's hit play. Let's just type something, and I hit enter. There you go. So now that works. Great. So now that we know that this thing works, so we can say, in fact, we don't need this. We don't need this either. Okay, I'll just bring this here, switch on eText commit. So selection on enter. So I'll create a new variable. Let's say I'll create a new variable, and this is text, right? So I'm just gonna have a text, and I'll just call this input text. Okay, and I'll just say set the input text on enter with this. Okay, and of course I'll just rearrange this to make it more readable like this. That's good enough. I'll just move this up here. So I'll just move this up a little bit. I think that's great. So now that we have this setup, this particular input text setup, we can go back here. We can look at find, and we can go and bind an event for on clicked on that for that button. And what this is going to do is simply it's going to find. Okay, so what the find thing does. So now we are actually getting on to the real sense of the essence of the array element, array find element. So this is again a wildcard node. I can drag in any arrays that I want to. So I'll have to first create an array, and I'll create a string array again, or I can simply create I'll just create a text array. Okay, and when I hit compile, and this has to be an array. Okay, and just have 5 elements. Okay, alpha, okay, I don't need that, beta, Charlie, delta, echo. All right, and once that's done, I'm just going to drag and drop this array over here. And what is the element that I want to find? I want to find the input text. First, I'll get this, and I'll say if not equal to is not equal to empty, get empty text. Okay, or instead I'll simply I don't need to do this. I'll say if input text, or I can simply do this. I can simply say let's say is empty. If it's not empty, if input text is not empty, okay, and if it's not empty, then I think I'll just put this here. I'll say branch it out. If it's not empty, we don't run this, otherwise we're not gonna bother, and drop this here. Now I just put this here so that I can use it. And string array, if it's true, then find this. If it's true, then find this particular element, and simply print string, and simply print the index of that particular value. Okay, right? So now let's first see. I want to first see if it's empty or not. Okay, I just want to test it out. So I just want to see get input text is empty, and print string. Okay, and I just want to see whether it even works. But right now input text is empty. So if I hit play, and it's true, it's empty, it's truly empty, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this, testing over. Now we can try this out. Okay, so first I'll hit compile and play. Okay, so I'm gonna look for something. Okay, I don't know what I have, so let me look for hotel, and hit enter. So the input text has been confirmed now. Now when I hit find, and it's got nothing, right? So that's because it's not. Okay, so if it's return value, if it's not finding anything, let's say, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of, I think I'm gonna get rid of both of these, and I'll just say equal to. If it's equal to -1, which means it does not find anything. If it's equal to -1, then again branch out, connect these two. Okay, if it's equal to -1, then let's say, or instead I'll just say if it's greater than -1, if it's greater than -1, then so that will be in the false, and I'll say print string. Then I'll just say keep it longer for 5 seconds, and this will be red in color, and I'll simply format the text here, format text, and I'll say input text not found. Okay, and input text would be simply this, like that, and then this will get connected to print string. Okay, all right. And if it's true, if it's greater than -1, which means that there is something out there, it has found something, then again I will say print string. And because this has successfully found something, I'm going to make this green in color. And let's see, I'm going to bring this format text again, and I'll say input text found at index, and then I'll type in index like that. So this is input text and input text would be this. I'll just duplicate it and I'll put the input text here. And for the index, I'll say, let's see, on btn find this. Okay, so this is the index that is coming out from the find node. Okay, and if it finds it, then it goes on and it creates the result the way we see it, and else we don't need to do anything at all. And I just move these guys a little bit to the front, just tidy them up, because it's Blueprint has the knack of getting messy and ugly very quickly, so you have to keep tidying it up, else it's hard to understand what you have written. Okay, so now this is on text committed, and this is on clicked btn find. Select these two as well and move them all down so that you can separate it from this code, right? So now let's compile, save this, and let's try and play the game. Okay, so the first is, I will say, I'll search for hotel again, hit enter, and I'll say find. Okay, I think something went wrong here. Find is the, if it's not found, then the string array, let's see if it's even setting it up to input text. Say on enter, setting it, I'll see print string input text. Something went wrong somewhere, I guess, so I'll just say hotel. Okay, that works. So what is exactly going on there? So on clicked branch, if it's empty, okay, if it's empty, no, I want this if it's not empty. Okay, right, and if it's empty, then I'll just say print string like that, and I'll just say no input, no item to find, no element to find. Okay, simple. Now when I hit compile, play the game, and again when I look for hotel, okay, I had compiled, I committed it, so input text should right now have the value. If I hit find, and it says hotel not found. Okay, that's great. When I go back and when I look for something like delta, hit enter. When I hit find, it says delta found at index 3. So let's check if it's indeed at index 3. I click on this, I look for the string array there, and index 3, so 0, 1, 2, and 3, that's right. So this is how find node works. So you look for the element, okay, you look for that element, and you search for the element, and if it's indeed there, then it's going to look for it. Now what happens if there is more than one alpha or one delta? So let's say there is a delta out here as well. Before Charlie, we'll replace Charlie with delta, and we'll just hit compile, and let's hit play again. So now if you can keep an eye to the left corner, I just out here, this is delta, which is index 2, and this is delta, which is at index 3. So I'll first type delta again, delta, hit enter. So input text is now set. Now I'll hit find, and it says delta found at index 2. Okay, and I hit find again, index 2, because that's what it's going to do. It's constantly keep on finding the first delta that happens. If you want to loop through, if you want to look for duplicates in an array, then what you have to do is you have to run this in a loop without actually going back in there you just have to keep on using the find node until you grab all the indices. Probably you might want to make that as an array, and that array you can use to delete all those duplicates and just keep one. I don't know, and maybe get the lowest index, or maybe get the lowest value from that array of indices. So in this case, if it's 2 and 3, and obviously you want to get rid of 1, so if you take this off, you keep the first one and and delete the rest of them. So if you want that, then you just have to find the lowest index, and you have to delete everything else which is not the lowest index. That's it. So that's one way, but this is how find node is used. Okay, that's about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So in this short video, we're going to take a look at the get node. Get an element from an array. So again, I'm going to use a user interface, or maybe I can use the same array find. And if you look at the designer, so maybe I can say find. Okay, so let's see, maybe I can duplicate this or change this to something called find by value. Okay, and of course I'll just say overlay, maybe find by value. Let's see, auto wrap text. Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna bother. And then next, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna copy, and I'll paste it. Okay, and this one I'm gonna say btn find by index. Okay, and of course that's anchors fine. I just need to say this. Okay, and I'll just have to bring it down by, let's say, 100, or maybe 120. Nope, 140 would be fine. All right, so this is find by value, and this would be find by text. Oh, find by index. Find by index. There you go. And I think I'll just justify that. Nope. Yeah, this is it. And while I'm at it, I might as well make it look a little better. So find by value and find by index. So find by index. So let's see, if I find by index here, first I'll bind it. Now, just please note that inside this designer we have this input text, and we're not validating the text at all. You can type any gibberish in there. You might type like a bunch of characters, and I don't know. We're not really factoring in for the different types of strings or different types of inputs. We're not filtering them at all, but we're just simply assuming that, okay, we are going to be putting in the right thing. Okay, but anyways, so find by index, going back here, this will again have, let's say, input text. I'll first have to, when I say find by index, and I'll say first get input text, and I'll say empty, text is empty. I'll first check if it's empty, and if it's not empty, then we proceed. If it's empty, then we simply say nothing around for us to do anything at all. So I'll put this in red, and I'll just say 3 is a good duration. I'll copy the same thing, no element to find, not no element to find, but input text, or yeah, no element to find. Okay, and in the false, first I'll get the input text. Okay, and I'll convert this to an int. Convert this to, let's say, I do not think it's gonna, anyways, it's okay. So first I'm gonna get the array, get the string array, and then I'm going to get a copy. While a reference, no, that's the difference. A reference gets you the pointer, and a copy gets you the whole copy of that particular index, of that particular item at all. But it's always safe to use a get copy unless you want a pointer, or you do a getref, which will actually change the original element inside that array, which could be dangerous. So as it's written in the tooltip, it says given an array and an index, returns the item in the array at that index. Since it's a direct reference, you can operate directly on the item, and changes made to it will be reflected back in the array. It's again a destructive node, and this is simply going to get you a copy. So the original index or the original element in the array is not going to be affected. So we're going to be safe, and we're going to play safe, and we're going to just get the index, and we're going to get a copy, and we can simply plug this in. And of course you can't do that, but that's because this is an input text. So what you can do is we can convert it to string. Okay, and this can go inside and connect with this, so that will convert it to an integer. That should work. Now once this is there, and then we can say and output text, let's say now we can print it, or we can just say log, and nope, print string is good. Print string, give this out there. All right, and for that particular index, what item is it? Now look at the string array. It's got alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. So let's try and find index 2. Okay, and I'm gonna find index 2. Okay, I'm gonna find my index, and it's got Charlie. Okay, that's good. Now I'm gonna get rid of this, and I'm gonna find index 4, and I'm gonna find my index. It's got Echo. Awesome. Now again, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to say 5 does not exist. Let's see what happens. I hit find by index. It's got nothing. It's got absolutely nothing. That's because it's a string, and you cannot really see empty strings out here. And of course, if we put in some conditions where if there is nothing, if it's outside the bounds, it definitely won't crash it, but it also will not give you the desired results. So you can also add branches here, just like we added branches here. Whether the text is empty, we can say whether the string is empty, or whether whatever the output is, it's empty or valid. And if it's not, then print something else, like it's not valid, something like that. Okay, so that's the get. Very simple. All it does, you pass in integer of an index. It looks for that particular integer inside the string array or whatever array you pass it in. It outputs that value. That's it. And if you look at this, whatever array it's connected to, the output is going to be that. So if I create some other array, let's say I create, I don't know, int array. This is just for example. We're not going to use it. Int array. Okay. And if I bring this in, and I either I type get here, or I can just type get. Okay. And of course, for that you have to look under array. It's kind of difficult because it's quite a lot. String, there's quite a lot of get, so it's very deep under. It does not know which get you mean. So if you want to be context sensitive, then the best thing is you pull out a wire from here and simply type get, so it gets exactly what you need. Okay, and then if you look at this is always going to be an integer, because indices are always integer values, but the output is going to differ depending on the array it's connected to. So this is int, and this is string or text, which gets converted to string and passed on to print string, but this is an integer, right? So that's the get node, as simple as it gets. Very straightforward and simple, and powerful as well, and very essential. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So this video, we're going to be looking at the contains node, and again, I'll not bother creating a new widget. Instead, I'm just going to create a new button right below that, and I'm going to use it that way. In fact, you know what? I'm going to increase the space, the width of all of these buttons. I'm just going to say 150, or I don't know, 200, and I'll use the text to not auto wrap. Okay. And the same thing with btn find. How much is it? 200. Okay, 200, and the text can be not auto wrap. Find by value. That's it. All right. So element to find. This can go up a little bit. Compile, save. Now I'll just need to copy this and paste this, right? And rename this as btn contains. Okay, btn contains. So just a question mark, because I wanted to show it that way. Now again, I'll make this position 0, and y can be somewhere like 300, or maybe 250, or no, 280. I think that's good. Yep, that's fine. And btn contains, and the text would be contains. That's it. Okay, and compile that, save that, and then click on this, go and create an event for onClick. And so we have all of these buttons all wired up and not looking very pretty, but that's okay. That's what Blueprint is all about. It's not supposed to look pretty. But anyways, so we have btn contains. Now, what do we want to check for? We want to check it again. We'll use the same input text. So we'll bring in the input text and we'll check whether it's empty first. Is empty. Okay, if it is empty, then we say sorry, nothing to find. Okay, and if it's not empty, then what we do is we get in the string array. Okay, and we say contains. Does it contain the item? What item are we talking about? We are talking about this particular item, input text. Okay, and so we bring in this input text. Okay, and we just pass that in. Okay, then again this turns into another branch, and this will be hooked up to the false. Okay, if it's not empty, which means that if input text is not empty, and it comes here, and whether this contains the input text or not, and if it does contain that, then print something, and we just say I don't know, I'll first put this up here, and if it's not, then we print something here, print string. Okay, so what do we want to print? We want to print when it does exist. When we want to say we'll use the format text again, format text, and we'll say if it contains that, then we'll say the array contains, and we'll just say input. Okay, and input like that, and input would be again input text, and this will get connected to input like that. Okay, and this can get connected to this. Now this is going to create that little converter node. That's okay, I will just put it here if that's the case. If it's not, then we'll just say, I think we don't need to pull it that far off. I'll just say if it does not contain, we'll just say, actually we have to, we'll just control and just track this here, and we'll just say first we'll convert and connect this and convert it, and array does not contain input. Does not contain input like that. Okay, and contains input and full stop. There you go. Compile that, save that, and now let's see. Now let's look at the string array again. So alpha, beta, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. So let's play and let's see if it contains that. Let's see whether it contains I don't know, golf. Hit enter and click on contains. It says array does not contain golf. Okay, now let's look for I don't know, India, and click on it again. The array does not contain India either. Now let's look for Delta. Array contains Delta. Now we're not actually going inside the details of which index it is at and all, because that's for a different exercise and you can do it yourself by now. But let's look for something else. Let's look for something like 12. I don't know. Let's have a number there and hit enter, and then click on contains, and array does not contain 12. So this is what a contain node does. Okay, it simply returns a boolean value. So if I unplug that, this is something like, you can also type in something manually. So I can type in Delta and I can check, but since we are using a text box, so it's better that we plug that in, the value that is coming in from the text box, into the contains node, and if it does contain something, then it's going to do this. If it does not, then it's going to do this. As simple as that, very straightforward, and that's it. And that's about the contains node, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to look at the last video for the array section, and we're going to look at something called a filter by array, which means that if there are a bunch of arrays that you have and you want to filter something out, and instead of going through which filter is what, which array is what, you can use the filter by a filter array node, and you can specify the exact type of array or the data type of array that you want to filter out, and it's gonna give you that exact particular array, or it's gonna give you the count. So for that, I'll have to create a new level, and I'll make this default level. And inside here, maybe I'll just say I'll first maybe I'll increase the floor length to somewhere like 2, not 20, but 2, 2, and 1 is okay. So the first thing is I'm going to create a new blueprint, and inside blueprints, I'm going to create a new blueprint, and this will be of type, let's say, this will be of type pawn, and I'll just call this test pawn. And when I open this up, so this is what the viewport, and out here I'll first add a cube, just a cube. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to bother renaming it, and I'll give it some material, and let's say I'll give it this material. Compile, save. That's all. I'm not going to do anything more. I'm just going to drag this, and I'm going to use this. I'll just hit end so that it snaps to the ground. In fact, I'll just do that. There's one. I'll just go over to the top view, go to the lit mode. Okay, and I'll just spread this around in 4 different corners. So I want 4 pawns. Okay, and 1 here and 1 here. So now we have 4 different pawns. Okay, we have 4 different pawns, and now just let me okay, fine, let me just save the map, and I'll just save this as filter array map. Makes no sense, but I couldn't come up with a better name. Go to perspective view, and then when I hit play, I can see that that's all the 4 cubes that's sitting there. So these are all the 4 different pawns that I just created. Okay, so now let's go over to the level blueprint. We don't need to actually create anything there. So let's go over to the level blueprint, and let me show you something. Okay, I'll first create not an int, but I'll just create an int array. Okay, and I'll make this an array first. Go over, select integer, and when I bring this in, and when I say get int array, and if I say, let's say filter, okay, I'll just type filter array, and if I type that, and this is not this is not a wildcard entry node, and it also has all of these. So when I connect this, and when I try and connect this with this, let's see what happens. It is not going to take it in. That's because it says target array object references. So okay, it cannot take anything that is not a part of that's not a part of object. What can be done is, we can filter this by class. So let's say you filter this by class, and in fact, let me first find all the actors, find actors, get actors of class, get all actors of class, and I want to get all the actors of class pawn. So you should be able to see around 5 pawns. So I'll just say pawn, and because also your default pawn is a pawn, so when I just hit, let me first print this out. I'll just say print, or in fact, I'll first loop through all of these for each loop. Okay, and then I'll just say print string, and I'll just connect this to this so that it gets the display name. Now, when I hit compile, save, and not run it immediately, in fact, I'll just change this. I'll just say test pawn underscore 1, 2, 3, and 4, or I don't need underscore because I have to change it in them all. So test pawn 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you should get your own default pawn. So when I hit play, you can see that test pawn 1, 2, 3, 4, and the third person character, the character that you are running on. Okay, so that's great. So now that we are running third person character, so now what if we want to not get these pawns? Okay, we have these 4 pawns, but I don't really want to search. I don't really care about these pawns. In fact, I only care about the different characters that I have in my map. So let's say I get rid of, I'll keep this right now. I just drag in another third person character, and I just drop him somewhere here. Okay, and I just drop him here, and like somewhere here, and he's just looking at me. He'll just turn towards me. That. Okay, and when I just hit play, I can see this guy here, and I can collide against him and all that. That's okay, that's cool. But what do we want to do now? So now we want to get all the actors of class pawn. Okay, and after that, before we run through the loop and do anything funny, I'm going to move this away and I'm going to filter the class. I do not want the default pawn. I do not want the test pawns out here. I just want to see how many characters I got in the map. Okay, so let's see. The one I think one good example for this would be to, let's say I increase this by 20 and 40, and this guy is out there somewhere. Okay, and I'll just place him there somewhere at the end of that level. Okay, and if I just hit play, you cannot really see him from there unless you walk all the way to this place. You're not gonna see him. Okay, and I'll just move him and make him look there. Okay, and when I hit save, I hit play and come back here. So now I just want to see how many characters do I have scattered around the map. Okay, so first I'll say filter array, and you could see that it only happens with objects. Okay, it does not happen with other other types like int and all the other simple data types. It only happens with object. Now we can connect this to exe, and in fact you can connect this and okay. So this is all about actor object array. Okay, this is okay, fine. That's because we already had that. So I'll have to say for each loop. I have to bring this up again, connect the execution point, connect these two, and then just connect this. That's it. Right now we have to filter the class. Something important here. Now we can filter this class based on whatever you're getting. Okay, now if I want to filter, let's say I just want to look at how many characters do I have. So I can either look for third person character or I can look for character, because third person character is also a part of character. So if I want to be really specific, I want to say only third person characters. So let's just look at that. And before we run this, I'm going to create another blueprint, and this time it's going to be a character, and I'm going to call this, let's say, first person character. Okay, and when I open this up, you have this guy, and of course I can add a camera. Let's say I add a camera. Okay, and the camera, and I also add let's say I also add a capsule, not a collision, but let me add a cylinder. Yeah. Okay, and of course need to be made a little thin. Yep, that's good. And I'll just look at this ends here, and I'll just grab this camera and make him look here. That turns out into a first person character. And of course the camera can be made a child of cylinder, and that's it. So that's the first person character. Okay, and now I'll just hit compile, save. Now this is also a character. Now let's say I drag this guy in and I drop him here somewhere. Okay, now these are all characters. Okay, and this guy is looking here, and I'll just drag him around and I'll make another copy. I'll rotate this guy. Okay, so now when I look at it, when I go back to my level blueprint, and I can say filter array. Now before actually filtering array, we can also have them print out whatever it finds. Okay, so you can also right click and you can say promote to variable, and this will set it up like that. Okay, and this can be this, or this need not happen right now. So this is a new variable, and let's give it a name, and let's say all pawns. Okay, all pawns. Now inside all pawns, we can simply say all pawns. First get it, and we can say for each loop. Okay, and move this before the filter code can be just pushed away a little bit. Okay, and then we can say print string. Yeah, this will be the name of the element. Move that. Okay, and after that's completed, we can say after this is completed, we can say print, we can say delay, and we can have a delay of, let's say, 2 seconds. Okay, and I want to change this color to something like green. Okay, and now this will go on and, let's say, connect to this. Okay, and of course these guys can come down now that it's from this plane onwards. Now, which target array are we talking about? We are talking about all pawns, like that. Okay, now all pawns comes here, and filter class, it filters the class, and then it does this, and then it does that. And I want to filter this by, let's say, once it completes, I want to filter this by first person character only. I'll say first person character. Okay, that's the name of my blueprint, and come back here, and delay, after a delay of 2 seconds, I'll have this in red. Compile, and let's go and try and run this now. Okay, so when I hit play, I think I have this in event begin play, I hope. Yes, or in fact, if you want, we can actually do that on some keyboard event. So I'm just gonna say spacebar. Okay, so when I hit spacebar, it does this. Okay, and if you want to have some fun, you can say if I release it. No, I think it's okay. That will be too much. Anyway, so I hit play, and he looks around. So, and that's the first person character. I don't know how many are there, but I just want to get a count anyways in the level. So I just hit spacebar, and it says test pawn 1, and then it gets me the first person character. First, it gets me all of these guys. So let me go back to my blueprint, and if I look at the first print string, I want this to be around for 5 seconds. Okay, and then I want a delay of 5 seconds, and then I want to print that out. So let's look at that. So if I hit play, I hit spacebar, and it's gotten me third person, two third person characters, two first person characters. Come on, it's still slow. I'll say 8, and close that, and then I'll say 8. No, that's okay, I'm fine. So now when I hit spacebar, and it's gotten me two first person characters, two third person characters, and all these test pawns, these 4 test pawns. Then after that, it's getting me the last one, that is the 2 first person characters. In fact, that's fine. Fine. Okay. So that's how you filter through array, and also make sure that the arrays can only be from, the arrays can only be of type object. Okay. When you want to filter them, it can only be of type object. Nothing else can be filtered. You cannot really filter string arrays and int arrays or any other such arrays. Okay, so that's about everything that you will need to know about the basics of how to work with arrays inside Blueprint. I hope you enjoyed this course. Thank you very much.